Hey YouTube, as I noted yesterday, my average viewership is still less than 10, with one exception in which I kind of rode in on the coattails of the Dixie Chicks. So what I decided to do was just to make a series of kind of short little videos and upload them. And if I ever do find a little niche in YouTube, and I have some subscribers who think they want to hear what I have to say, then these videos will be looked at as my early work. And if not, if I just fade away here, then these will serve as kind of just notes to myself, because I do a lot of writing on my website and stuff like that. So these would be my little cyber footprints on the sands of time. So anyway, I'm not going to do preparation for these things. I like to try to organize my thoughts and to have some pretty definitive idea of what I'm going to say before I start talking. But here I'm just going to ramble off on the top of my head. And so there won't be any polish here, and there may be not anything, but there also probably won't be anybody who notices if there's not any polish here. Okay, I want to talk briefly here about a subject that seems to be fairly widespread on YouTube, and certainly plays a big role in national politics right now. So I will speak to it briefly. I'm not going to be involved in other discussions. This is probably the last time I will discuss this subject, because I ran out of any useful things to think about along these lines 30 to 35 years ago. So it's not a subject I'm interested in persuading anybody about, or I don't give a damn what other people believe. But the idea is that no, I do not believe in God. Now, I don't call myself an atheist, but I have absolutely no objection to someone else calling me an atheist or labeling me as such. And I'll get to the reason for that in a minute. First of all, I want to talk about the arguing whether or not there's a God. First of all, there are only a very few minor basic arguments on that issue, but there are thousands and thousands of little variations of those arguments, and these arguments have been going on for hundreds of years, if not thousands, and they show no sign of reaching a consensus in people. In fact, we're not going to do that. There's not going to be a consensus. There can't be. If there were going to be a consensus, then as time went on, various sorts of beliefs or thoughts or ideas along these lines would have been totally discredited and faded away, and people would still be then focusing on those things that some people think are still possible. So that ain't going to happen. And I know it certainly makes sense that people would wonder. We are here, or at least appear to be here. So it's certainly, people need to think about that for themselves. But once you decide for yourself, then you might as well keep it to yourself, because you're sure not going to convince everybody else that your absolutely irrefutable proof is in fact the final answer. So I'm just not interested. I don't care. There's no solicitation sign on my door when it comes to religious discussions, and I'm also on the no-call list. But there is one thing I want to mention about that, is that that pisses me off a bit, and it has to do with Christianity and their viewpoints toward the rest of the world. The idea is that Christians think the world has to organize itself into three parts. You got believers, you have atheists, and you have agnostics. And we're all supposed to choose one of those things. Those are the only three choices we got. Well, that's nonsense. I'm under absolutely no obligation to assume a position and to take on a label with respect to someone else's belief system. That's why I don't care that I'm called an atheist. I probably share most of my beliefs along those lines, but it's just a subject I have no interest in anymore. And I dislike being kind of I dislike the arrogance with which Christianity thinks everybody has got to assume some position with regard to them. You know, it's just nonsense. Believe what you want. And you know, kind of the analogy that goes along with that is that I also do not believe in leprechauns. But nobody wants to know, well, are you a leprechaunist or an ag leprechaunist? Just whatever. I'm out of here on this subject.